So the rally cry from the right is, why are they protesting now? More protests are happening around Australia today, but the right wing can't seem to understand why it is that there should be any protests at all, given that the peace deal is being signed, if not quite enacted at this particular point in time. This is the Tony Tompkins Show, and welcome, because facts matter, and as a result, you matter. So I'm going to have a bit of a conversation about this. I'm going to talk a little bit about this because today there are rallies, and I'm going to show you a segment from the ABC, which is highlighting those rallies. That is from the ABC website. But I'm also going to start with this notion that why is it that they're having a rally when, after all, they should not be having these rallies anymore, simply because there's a peace deal on the table. And so, what should we do? Should we ignore the fact that, 60, 70, 80, maybe even 100,000 people have died in Gaza, that mostly women and children, innocent people, have been killed, that attempt has been to starve the population, to kill children at random, shooting them in the head and elsewhere? Should we ignore those crimes just because someone's put a peace deal on the table? It's like saying when the end of World War II came, it was at that point we should forget about the Holocaust and the horrors that were created by Hitler and his regime. Should we forget about the horrors that Israel have perpetrated on the Gazians? Is that what this is really about? So I think that this is a time for more protests, because at some point someone has to hold Netanyahu and his government and his henchmen and the people in the IDF have to hold them responsible for their behaviour and the killing of innocent people and the destruction of what basically is a nation. And now we are going to recognise maybe Gaza. But there again, my fears arise because of what might happen in the West Bank now, that the wrath of the Israeli government may be taken out against Palestinian people living in the West Bank, which, will they annex the West Bank? That is another horrible suggestion, and which is kind of maybe even inevitable to a large extent. So will they let it go at this point? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I've just done a post, in fact, on whether or not this is about money. And my guess is, to a large extent, it is, because Donald Trump doesn't give a crap about anybody else but himself. No sense of humanitarianism at all, and no sense of ethics and principles and values either. So if you do like my feed and you'd like to write a comment, please subscribe, ring the bell for further notifications, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. So I'm going to take us to this particular video now with Danica, and it's just the opening bit I want to talk about. So here's Danica doing her thing.
Now is my panel, former Liberal Senator Holly Hughes and former New South Wales Police Minister David Elliott. Good to see you both. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to start with this planned pro-Palestine protest in Sydney this Sunday. So as we know, the court ruled that they can't do it at the Sydney Opera House, which is great news. But I've got to say, what on earth could they possibly be protesting about now, David? We've got a...
And how, I just think it's amazing the ignorance of this woman and the ignorance of Sky News to, as I said, to sweep what they never mention. Never, and I mean never, to my knowledge, mention anything negative about the IDF and the Israeli government. Never. It's almost as if the catastrophe that is Gaza never happened. And no matter what happened in Gaza was completely justified because of October the 7th. That is a fallacy, it's a lie, it's erroneous. But that's kind of what they believe.
He's still on the table. I don't hear them celebrating that, yet the organisers said today, quote, we are fighting not just the end of genocide, but for the liberation of Palestine. Our movement will not be stopped. So nothing about the peace deal, David. No.
It isn't. You idiot. This woman is such a clown. Mate, it is, at this point, it is not about, it is never, as good as peace is, firstly, it's not guaranteed. Who knows whether it's actually going to happen or not at the end of the day. I have my doubts. But it's always been that the demonstrations have been about releasing hostages, about the devastation that's been caused in Gaza, and the unrelenting bombardment and killing of innocent people and destroying hospitals and schools and destroying the infrastructure within Gaza. It's always been about that, and it's always been about Palestinian people having their own state, Palestinian people living freely, to live their own lives without fear of being killed or attacked or locked up by the IDF, who, in my opinion, are a terrorist organisation. A terrorist organisation which never gets the scrutiny that it should, which is permitted to carry out terrorist attacks around the world, because the West turns a blind eye, something they should never have done, and which they've started to, I guess, change their view around Israel over the last 6 months, which has brought about this peace deal. But it should have happened earlier. It should have happened 12 months earlier. But these clowns here are still wondering why it is that we're concerned, that people are concerned about what's happening in Gaza. Well,
nothing at all.
Well, this is proof that they will just continue to radicalise locally and of course...
What is there? Now, okay. Oh, God. What is there about attending a rally for all the reasons that I just mentioned, which is about radicalisation? There's no logic in any of that. I probably should have gone to the rally today. I had something else on, but for those people like myself who are concerned about this issue who turn up to the rally, are we being radicalised? Am I part of Antifa because I'm anti-fascism, anti-killing people, anti-war? Does that make me Antifa? Maybe it does. If it was in the United States, they'd be looking to lock people like me up. It's atrocious. It's horrible. But this is kind of where we're at.
Provide that pressure on overseas governments to support the Palestinian demands, which won't stop. I mean, you don't see the Israelis or the Jewish community campaigning or protesting again beyond today's announcement about the...
No. Great point, David. But the reality is we should. And there are a lot of... Now, I need to clarify that. There are a lot of Israelis and Jewish people who also see what's happening in Gaza and object to it as well. In fact, there are likely to have been people at some of these rallies around Australia today who were or are Jewish people and who object to it just as much as everybody else.
The peace protest and the mere fact that the Palestinian authorities are encouraging this and locally the pro-Palestine groups want to continue to protest means that we aren't going to be seeing an end to this anytime soon.
No, I agree. I mean, it's just going to keep going on, even if we get to that point of peace, Holly. And I've got to say, it's beyond the point where we can say, oh, this is about free speech, right? There's been an undertone of hate at these protests from the beginning.
There isn't. Now, this is part of the bullshit that I find really intolerable. These peacefuls, I can run through, I don't think I will today, but I can run through a piece from the ABC where it talks about, in fact, it goes through all the rallies that have been occurring around Australia, and it basically says that they are peaceful. They are not spreading hate. You know, if you're trying to find a sense of justice and fairness, and you criticise those people that prohibit that, that are doing horrible things to other people, when you call that out, you know, be like if I say, you know, that it's like when people say that woman who was in a violent, abusive relationship with her partner, she should have got out. So it's like blaming the victim for what has happened, and not blaming and telling the perpetrator to take responsibility. We're saying, and people that are fighting for Palestinian rights are saying, not only do these people need to be free, but those people that have persecuted them, that have dropped bombs on them, that have killed them, they need to take responsibility for their behaviour. They need to be found in a court of law guilty for the behaviour that they've imposed. Now their behaviour has been imposed on others and killed people and destroyed people's lives. So we need to be talking about that. But we've got Holly next, and she's sensational. Anyway, we'll play it and you can make up your own mind.
And now they won't even back off and celebrate peace.
Well, I think it demonstrates that these are all about hate. This is what these protests actually...
Here we go again. It's all about hate. This is what the right wing is telling us. It's all about hate. It is not. Far from it. But you people are just... You've got your blinkers on. You're deaf. You're deaf to the reality. You know, it blows me away.
Actually are about hate for the Jewish people, hate for Zion.
It is not hate for the Jewish people. You are so wrong. It's about dislike for IDF and for the Netanyahu government. That's what it's about. It's about asking them to behave differently and better and in a much more humanitarian way. They won't. They never will. That's the reason why this deal will probably fall over.
Zionist hate for Israel.
Again, hate again. She's used the word hate about 5 times to this point.
And hate for the West, quite frankly. I mean, these are all extreme left-wing ideologues, and this is their cause du jour. And until they get the next cause, I don't think they'll stop. And it's extraordinary that we're still seeing their failure to recognise there was peace between Israel and Gaza on October 6th, and it was the Hamas group and the...
Where has this woman been? You don't even understand the history between Israel and Gaza. And that Israel, you know, Hamas had been bombing Israel, no denying that. Gaza had been doing the same before October the 7th. You know, that the fact that Israel has placed these people in captivity for decades. Is it, you know, Holly, how dumb are you? That's what I don't understand. How can a woman such as this, that's had a political background, well, that probably explains it, but she's as dumb as a brick, seriously.
Palestinian people that participated in that caused all of this just over 2 years ago. So we know it's about hate, we know it's about anti-Israel, and quite frankly, the behaviour of this federal government has done nothing but embolden them. And I think there may be no end in sight, as I say, until they find the next left-wing cause that they can cause a ruckus over. I don't know, Australia Day is around the corner. Maybe they'll move.
Okay, well, enough of that bullshit. So I guess my frustration is that places like Sky News and the right-wing media just want to spread their version of all of this, which they capitulate in this notion that it's always about hate. It isn't. It's actually about injustice. It's about lack of fairness and equity. And it's about people not being heard. That's what it's about. And they put all of that stuff because they object to it, because they are fascistic in nature, that they want a society which is subservient to their right-wing views. And that's wrong. That is so wrong. And it's the job of myself and others and people that are doing podcasts such as mine to remind people that it's wrong. And so I ask you to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell for further notifications so that we can have more of these conversations. And be aware more of our live feeds that I'll be doing as well throughout this coming week. Take care, everybody.